Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World, brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. And we are also brought to you by disboards.com, a great place to continue the best and worst conversation and a great resource in helping you plan your Disney vacation. So I am your host, Rhino Clavin, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the top 4 best things about Epcot decided on by disboards.com. To join me for this discussion, we have Corey Fiasco.
Hey, guys.
Whose last name I'll never say. We've got Miss Teresa Eccles in the house.
Hey.
And the man in the back who makes it all happen, Mr. Craig Williams.
No way.
Yes. So Craig put a thread out there on disboards.com asking people what they thought were the best things about Epcot, and I went through that thread, and I think we've narrowed it down to the top 4 things that people love. So we're going to go bottom to top. Number 4, people love that Epcot is family friendly. It seemed like a lot of people in the boards were saying that they like how many areas there are for kids, whether that's play areas or the arts and craft kind of stuff that they do around the World Showcase. And that also there was a lot of attractions that aren't necessarily thrill attractions. We called them in a previous episode grandma attractions, not in a derogatory way, but because they'd be rides I'd be comfortable taking my grandmother on.
Yeah, and grandma attractions are actually my favorite type of attractions, and Epcot definitely hits the nail on the head there. A lot, if not most, of the attractions there in Epcot, I'm going to go with most, is something that everybody can do and enjoy.
I was surprised when they had we love how many playgrounds there are for kids. That is true. There's a lot of, with the festivals going on, there's always a play area, but then there's the water splash pads that kids are always sitting there putting their butts on the fountains for some reason.
Enemies.
I don't know. I don't get it.
Kid Cot.
But so it's just kind of funny because the entire narrative of Epcot in the past was always, it's like, oh, kids aren't going to like it. It's back in the 90s. It's too educational, and then it became less educational. But the countries are too boring for kids. So to see the feedback that no, we love the playgrounds, we love the grandma rides, we love all this. It's like, I guess it is very. It's good for, as Rhino put it, all ages. He came up with that phrase.
Yeah.
No one said it before. Good for all ages.
TM. I actually did not say that. I said family friendly, I think, but it's fine. Maybe I did. Who knows?
Grandma rides.
Yeah. But because you'd be okay taking your grandma with you. Would you take your grandma
My grandmother
on the rides with you?
would be really, really old.
My grandmother.
Your grandmother
is 86.
Would you be comfortable
Or 85. She'll be 86 this year.
Okay, so it's like my mama.
My grandma's the one who brought me to Disney when I was a kid all the time. My mom too, but my grandparents came down every year. My great-grandmother lived in Marco Island, and we would get the 2 days at Disney. We would always go to Magic Kingdom, and then it would alternate between Epcot or Universal Studios. And so I always think, I remember going on the boat ride in Mexico with my grandmother, my great grandmother actually. We went on Norway together. So.
See, where I'm from, most ladies were grandmas by the time they were in their early 40s.
Yeah.
So that also doesn't really work for that reason too. And I'm joking, that isn't. But I know that does happen to people. I'm not saying.
Okay, well, my mother was a grandmother when she was 44. So, and my mother is 20 years older than me. So I am one of those people that is in the. We'll call them a young skewing family. Anyway, number 3, the size of the park. People seem to really enjoy the size of the park. Yes. Whether that's like layout or something, but they've said there's areas that they can step aside in, that they don't feel like they're always super crowded. There's somewhere to go. Is Epcot the largest of the Disney parks? Does anybody know that?
Yes, it is the largest. I think unless you include the whole of Kilimanjaro Safari and Animal Kingdom, it is the largest. But you can't walk around there. So.
Walking wise,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because people called me out on YouTube about saying Animal Kingdom was a small park once, and I was like, I'm not including the Harambe area that I cannot step foot on.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I understand this completely. The size, the layout of it all. That you've got somebody on the boards even broke it down to saying it feels like it's 2 different theme parks because you've got the World Showcase. keep doing that. And then you've got like Future World, and so you've got that whole area. In the front of the park where like some of the like Soarin' or Test Track, or then you've got the land over there, and then you kind of move into this whole exploration of the countries. So
I mean, it's not that it feels like it is two different parks. It was, if you listen to Connecting with Walt, you can hear all about the history of Epcot, but we explore more into that. So I'm not going to bore you with the details here. It is two separate areas in that. I like it because anytime I go to Epcot, I make sure I do that one lap around World Showcase, which everyone knows is approximately a mile. Mm-hmm. So some days when I'm at Disney, it's like when I'm eating, drinking, I'm like, I feel terrible about myself. At least then if I know I make like 3 laps around World Showcase, I can be like, I feel a little bit better of myself. And now you can't do that at Hollywood Studios. Yeah, you can bounce around from place to place very quickly if you want to, but you have to walk a lot more to feel like you've actually gotten a little exercise out of it. And while Disney's not a place for most people for exercise, it since it's more of a weekly occurrence for us, it is a place where I try to get my walks into.
Well, when I was a cast member at Hollywood Studios, we used to, after work, we'd be like, okay, we're gonna go over to Epcot now and do the walk, and we'd had like a whole walking group. And it was literally just so we could do the loops like you said. So
wow,
yeah, back when I was much healthier than I am currently.
Here I was just walking the neighborhood.
Boo.
Had to go to Epcot.
Well, can you do that when Disney's in our backyard?
And also, even on the most busy of days, I think Epcot does this a lot better than any other park. You can still have a really fulfilling day. Going back to those grandma attractions we were talking about, there's a lot of things that even on the busiest of days just still don't warrant a wait, like the Grand Fiesta Boat Tour, like Impressions de France. Really, all of the country shows really never warrant a wait. So
it absorbs crowds.
I was just going to say the size really disperses where people are in the park pretty well. So I do like the idea of it being a place where that you could go and have a minute to like cool off and be left alone a little bit. Step out of the craziness. But
I do love Canada, that show.
The Martin Short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's dated, but I love it.
Well, I love Martin Short.
Yeah, I don't think it's dated per se.
Martin Short don't look like that anymore.
No, he does not.
That's obviously a part of it, but I'm sure Canada's still just as beautiful as it was when they filmed it.
I'm sure. I don't know. I get emotional in there, and I'm not really sure why, because I'm not from Canada, but the music and the scenery.
Singing the national anthem.
I do. It's just...
Oh, Canada. That's
I walk out all teary-eyed.
A little flat.
Yeah, well, I said, "Oh, Canada!"
Whoa,
right at the end,
too high. So that kind of leads into the number 2 thing, the best thing that people said on the boards, which was the ambiance. They overall really enjoy the ambiance, whether that's a lot of people seem to be saying the vibe seems a lot less stressful, that it has more of a laid-back feeling. And like we said, the attractions are spread out, so that kind of helps disperse the crowds a little bit. And it just gives that whole idea of, more space and less pressure to keep moving and in a hectic manner or something. But I think it's a little bit more than that, because somebody else brought up that they love the diversity of cast members as well that's there, and that really adds to that world, the World Showcase. I've always enjoyed that whatever country you're in, it's supposed to be people from that country that are, working there.
I've said it before on other shows that we've done. I think it's great when you have stuff like Impressions de France or Oh Canada to learn more about the country, or you can go and sit down and eat at the restaurants and be like, oh, I'm eating this Americanized version of this country's food. You can do all of that, but I think if you actually take the time to talk to the cast members working there, you will actually get more ingrained in their culture and learn more about them as a person. So that's something that you don't just get anywhere you go, but it's part of the mystique of Epcot that really adds to the overall ambiance.
Well, another poster put in that they were saying the reason why they picked World Showcase was they feel like it's a great an example of idealism, where the countries kind of exist within harmony of each other, and they're kind of supposed to be the best foot forward versions of their cultures, I guess.
It's where we celebrate the future hand in hand.
Is that a song?
Oh. Getting too deep for me.
Another thing I really love on going on that topic is like when you're walking through the World Showcase, seeing all these different atmospheres of all the different countries, interacting with all these different cast members from different parts of the world. Also the shopping there. The shop, when you go into just a regular gift shop in Disney or Disney Springs or any of the parks and you see, the Spirit jerseys that are hot right now or the plushies, and it's all kind of the same. And then maybe stores have their own little twist where they have, different things like Disney style and stuff like that. But shopping in the World Showcase is an entirely different experience.
A day in Japan.
Yeah, you go into Japan and you're going to see things you're going to find nowhere else on property. You go into Morocco, same thing. Every country actually sells things that it really feels like you're in a store in that country, like especially Japan, China, big time. They have things that you're definitely not going to find anywhere else. But that's really always been a kick for me, and I've done it a lot. I've walked around the showcase and just done some shopping like that, but I still get a kick out of it now after doing it for years.
There's only, in my opinion, two terrible things about the ambiance of Epcot, and in terms of performers. And the first is the awful band that plays in the United Kingdom. They are all talented, so I'm not saying that in that way. I think it is a slap in the face that they have a group of 4 Americans playing all these British songs. So to me, that just I would rather there be no entertainment there at all.
I know what the other ones you're going to say is.
Or
the whistle.
Well, yes, of course. I hate Sergio and his whistle and his balls in Italy. He can choke on that whistle.
Oh, yeah, but I thought you meant the chair guy too, not the.
I like the chair guys. They're putting their lives on the risk to climb those chairs, but Sergio's just sitting there kicking soccer balls at people and whistling around. Just use your words. It's that easy. But yeah, I at least back in the day when I was growing up, when we would go to Epcot, we would watch the British Revolution that was the Beatles cover band. So yeah, it's 4 guys who are clearly Americans, but at least they're wearing the part. They're putting on the accents. They're doing the whole 9 yards. And I mean, if they are British, I'm sorry I offended them. But the one time I met him, I'm pretty sure he sounded like he was from California. But the new band that's here, they don't even try. They're just they might even be Canadian for all I know. And then that's really taking
Heaven
another
forbid.
step forward. Well, I mean, they're one step closer to America. I'm not going to get into that. But I don't like them there. I think it ruins the ambiance when you're walking past and you hear Van Halen's jump just out of nowhere. It's nothing.
What do you like?
I tell you, I don't like Sergio and his stupid whistle and
How
his
about
soccer balls.
The entertainment and beer garden.
Sometimes, depending on who's
They're
the
not
German entertainer.
They're not.
No, because one of the performers is a woman that Eli works with's husband. And I was like, he's definitely not very German. I've met him, and I'm like,
Maybe somewhere in his DNA.
I mean, it's probably
there might be a
from the
little
old
bit of-
country. But my family's from England. Could I play in the band, Craig?
I don't know. Could you, Rhino? No.
My God.
Okay. Now,
Sad, isn't it?
That was horrible.
It was, wasn't it?
Oh, stop.
Okay.
Okay, stop.
Okay.
Stop.
Okay.
Stop.
Okay.
It's not my bag, baby.
I like the mariachi band, the El Mariachi Cobra in Mexico. I think they're enjoyable. And I do like the chair people in France. I do. The whistle does annoy me, but I do enjoy their antics with it. I like the drummers in Japan. I think there's a lot of highlights in there, just not Sergio.
No, I think one of the underrated parts of that adds to the ambiance too, though, and people brought it up on the Disboards, is the landscaping of the park too, the general architecture. I always think about kind of that area where Figment is, and they've got the waterfall that's going up, and then that walkway that leads into the World Showcase. Right now with the Flower and Garden Festival, it's all bright, it's colorful, but I love how it you can look over and you see the Odyssey. That's on stilts in water, and you're all these buildings are just right above this waterway right here, and and it's beautiful, but you're also this is all man-made. It's kind of a cool, weird, it's different. All the parks are different from each other, but there's something I can't quite put my finger on about.
When I go to Epcot and I walk around World Showcase, I always think, it makes me think of the World's Fair. Not that I've ever went to a World's Fair, but just the different countries being represented.
I think that's what it's supposed to be.
I know, but that's the feeling I get, and I think.
Well, I didn't know that till recently, actually.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
I get that feeling, and it makes me feel like, okay, I can't travel all over the world. I
Right.
have been all over the world in different countries, but some countries I'll never get to.
Yeah.
And
This is your way to get a
This is
taste.
my little way of getting a taste
Yeah.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Well, on that note, the number one thing that it seems, and I would 100% agree with this, that people say is the best thing about Epcot is the dining. It's the wide variety of both sit-down and quick service restaurants that you can, I mean, it's like what you said. We said taste. You get a little taste
Morocco.
of everything.
Yeah,
Morocco Tangerine Cafe is my go-to quick service.
Is it?
Yeah. I like the
How about
the falafel wrap.
The sit down in there.
I love Restaurant Marrakesh.
Seriously?
I
okay.
love it.
Does your wife?
Yes, she does. It's
Okay,
one of our favorite places.
I'm coming along on a date with you too.
Yeah, sounds
because
good.
I can't get
She was
anybody to
gonna
go
say
with
double
me.
date.
Oh, I'll
No,
go.
it's gonna be. I'm coming right in there with that. So
Do they
you
have the
ready?
hummus fries there?
I
think that's the other one.
don't
It's
the other one.
know.
I think Spice Road table has
But
those.
Spice Road.
what I need to say is,
He's not dropping it now.
I was one of the people who were trying to urge Pete to go try it again.
Yeah.
And he ended up liking it. But when we first moved here in November, within that first month, we had been 9 times.
Whoa.
Before we did our review.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love it. We love it
I
there.
love it.
I find that it's also not super crowded back there, which
And
is
I
nice.
also love
Yes.
the shopping back in there too.
Yeah, me too.
It's all just.
But I love that you can go somewhere like that and then be like, oh, or we can go to Teppanyito, in Japan, or if you want a lot of meat and potatoes, you go over to Germany.
Oh, I
to the
walk
beer
into
garden.
the Rose and Crown and I get myself some fish and chips.
Stop.
And
Just.
Is it Australian now?
a pint. Oh, yes, it is.
You're creeping me out.
That's not fish and chips. That's fish and chips.
You gotta get a Foster's.
I think there's something that I can eat that I like at every country.
Yeah.
There's no country I would. There's some I favor over others. Italian, I like it, but I don't. It's not my
It's not-
go-to.
yeah, me too.
Because I think it's not as exotic for us because we get a lot of Italian. But yeah, I love German. I love it all.
I love that you can also make a thing where it makes it every time you go, you can try something new or something different, whether it's the quick service, the sit down or whatever, but you can kind of work your way around, and that goes with people always talk about drinking around the world, but I'm like, well, what about eating around the world? We can try a snack in all the different places or,
I never had Chinese food until I was at Epcot.
Oh,
Really?
stop!
I didn't know that you could get Chinese food anywhere.
he is from the birthplace of Chinese food.
Wow.
Just stop.
In America, I mean.
That's
Brooklyn.
That's another big reason why I think the festivals are so cool too, because you're not obviously going to go out to eat at all these different countries during one vacation. But if you're here on vacation during a festival, which let's be honest, if you're here on vacation at all
You're probably
right
doing-
now, you're
yeah.
probably during a festival. There's a very slim chance that you won't be. But in that situation, you can really get a taste of all the different countries that they have to offer.
Yeah.
I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, me too. So I think on that note, we'll end this discussion. Also because we ran out of things. So those were the top 4 things about Epcot as decided on by Disboards.com. And that was number 1, the dining, 2, the ambiance, 3, the size, and 4, its family-friendly nature with all the spaces for kids and everyone. But thank you, everybody, for having this discussion. Thank you for watching and listening. If you are listening, please feel free to rate and review the podcast on iTunes. If you are watching, you can feel free to leave some comments below about future topics you'd like to have us discuss or say some of your favorite things about Epcot that maybe we missed. But that'll do it for this episode. We'll see you next time with another episode of the best and worst of Walt Disney World.